Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first Wellness Wednesday here on the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative. We welcome you and anybody in the community to join us. Today is January 6th, 2021. We've made it to 2021, and it's a really exciting day in Georgia right now. So there's a lot of energy and vibrancy that's happening. So we want to address that first and say that that's a very special place that Georgia is in right now. And as the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative, we are excited for the future and what's coming up next for us in this. I am Elise Payne. I'm the school-based program coordinator at Odyssey Family Counseling Center, and I'm honored to be a part of the team who leads the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative and works to create opportunities for our community to discuss mental health, wellness, resources, and other opportunities for students, families, and other people in our community to talk about mental health, to go over resources, to engage with one another. We welcome you today. And if you're joining us for the first time, please make sure you like, follow, subscribe. We have an Instagram page. We're here on Facebook. You may be viewing us on YouTube later this afternoon or in the days following this. So we welcome you and ask you to check us out on our other platforms so you can stay up to date and get some information. Also, share this with the people that you know. Share it so that we can have more people who can engage. And if you're interested in working with us and giving your feedback, we welcome that too. Send us a message, leave a comment, we check that, and we get back to you and make sure that you're also engaged. I also want to introduce and welcome Jackie Cathy, who is the Child and Adolescent Coordinator here at Odyssey Family Counseling Center. How are you doing today, Jackie?
Just fine, just fine. Happy New Year all. We are so excited about the new year upon us, and we're looking forward to our continuing partnership with those who share the same vision and like-mindedness. We're all about making certain that our students and our families are supported totally. It's all about that total wellness, and we are here to walk that extra mile with each and every one of you. Let us know how we can support your needs on an ongoing basis. We look forward to working with you throughout this year.
Yes, and Jackie and I are part of a leadership team, and so you're going to hear from those people throughout this year. We have decided to focus our Wellness Wednesdays to the first Wednesday of every month, except for the very end of March. We know spring break is the first week of April, so our April Wellness Wednesday is actually taking place the very last day of March, March 31st. That's the Wednesday that we'll be doing that. But besides that one date, we will be the first Wednesday of the month, and it will be at 12 p.m. here on Facebook Live. We will also make sure that these videos are downloaded and saved to Facebook so you can access it 24/7. It will also be on our YouTube channel, so check those places out as well. And if you'd like to see previous ones, they're available also. Next month, we are excited to have a guest who is a sound therapist who will be leading us through an experience called a sound bath. And that's part of whole health and wellness strategy that we are excited to share with you. And so we invite you back in February. So don't forget that, to have that on your calendar. At this time, I'm going to introduce our two guests. And first, we're going to hear from Francesca Warren, who is representing not only her position, but also the South Fulton Parents for Education group, who is a part of the Mental Health Collaborative. And in a little while, we will also hear from Dr. Gima Whitaker from Fulton County Schools. So welcome to you both, and welcome, Fran.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to see where the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative is at this point, to where we first, the inception of it just makes me really proud. And I think that parents are slowly understanding just how important mental health is, not only for our kids, but for themselves, but also for the educators that are in front of their children. So it's just like a whole circle that we're coming back to.
Mm. Yes, yeah, we're excited. You know, you were early on with the South Fulton Parents for Education group, and you've had a really exciting year. So would you like to share with everybody who may not know what's transpired for you since your work as a part of the South Fulton Parents for Education and where you are today?
Absolutely. So I think it was August. It feels like a lifetime ago, but it's really not. I was elected for the District 4 school board seat. So I represent the Westlake, Langston Hughes, and Creekside clusters. And so it's really been a journey for me to see something as simple as me as a parent saying, I want my child to go to this type of school, and finding parents who said, I want that too. How can we work with our schools to saying mental health is a really, really big deal. And that's something, especially in the African-American community, that sometimes is not spoken to a lot around how our kids struggle with depression, our kids struggle with, just getting their words out and understanding how to voice them and what does it look like. And I'm frustrated and teaching them, but also recognizing that sometimes you can't do it on your own. Sometimes you have to go to a pastor. Many times you have to go to a therapist. You have to talk to people. And so just that journey has been one where I'm looking here in January and just coming on the heels of Miss Bryant, who was such a giant in the community and did a lot of advocating. It's a lot of responsibility, but as a mom with 4 children who either attended or are currently attending South Fulton schools, is something that I take very seriously. And I encourage parents to, if we're going to make school work for us, we have to be involved and we have to be vocal and we have to say what we want, because if you don't say it, you can't make it come into fruition.
That's great. Yeah, the journey that you've gone on, and I've read some of the things that you've posted and the things that you've shared in with the community, and how vitally important this has been in your decision to run for the school board and to be engaged. And so we're so glad that you and the South Fulton Parents for Education group are a leading partner. We meet every month to discuss what we're going to do. And so representatives from the South Fulton Parents for Education group are actively involved in this. This is not something that just Fulton County Schools or Odyssey is doing. It's all of us together are working together. And it's so good to hear your commitment and the commitment of the group in providing resources and engaging around topics with mental health and wellness.
Absolutely. And we didn't think that, when we started South Fulton Parents for Education, Dr. Whitaker can say this was just a group of parents from Cliftondale Elementary School. We were just like some mama bears. And so we were like, this is what we want. And now transitioning into this role and even talking about mental health, there are a lot of stigmas in our community that we don't talk about. We just feel like if we tell our kids to work hard and, just do what you're supposed to do, it's going to work out. And for me, over the last 4 years, I've seen parents say openly, my child needs a therapist, or my child is struggling. And then with this pandemic, it's added another layer. And so a lot of our parents are saying, wow, now I understand why my child was so stressed, or now I understand this. And so it's just made it even more important for us to reach back and say, what are we doing for our kids? And then, like you guys did last semester, what do the teachers need, right? Because this has been a lot of trauma for children. This has been a lot of trauma for adults. This has been a lot of trauma for school staff. And so how do we really push in and talk about it and just be open to what do we do next?
Yeah, that's great. I think you're talking about that whole community aspect of this. This is not just an individual thing. This is not just one family's thing. This is not just one school community, like you said, from Cliftondale, and how much it's blossomed. I mean, your group is not only on Facebook, it's doing all these things out in the community and really advocating. This would not be possible without all of you mama bears who are out there advocating and saying what's needed. So I'm so glad to have you guys, and glad to hear that from this, how your trajectory has changed. I mean, with the coming on with the school board and all of that, that's very exciting and good for our community to know that you're a part of this too. So thank you so much. I'd like to transition to over with Dr. Whitaker, who is an amazing resource. You guys who have seen any of our videos before, you've seen her, and she came on earlier in the fall to share resources from Fulton County Schools. So welcome again, Dr. Whitaker.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to this new year. Happy New Year to everyone, and Happy New Year to the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative. And just as Ms. Warren said, and also Ms. Kathy, Ms. Payne, I was there that day too. When we launched the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative, all of us were there. And it's really an exciting opportunity to know that we are stopping the stigma. We are recognizing that within the community that we need to address mental health issues. And our schools are a great place to find support for that. I'm going to share about 12 to 15 different resources that are in our schools that also our families, for many of them, have access to as well, so that we can ensure that the social and emotional supports are in place. But not only are they in place in the schools, but they are being utilized by our families, because we can have all the resources, we could have all the people, but I really need, and I need for our parents that are online, the parents that are a part of our Fulton groups, to really recognize that if you are in need of these supports, let us know. Many of the supports that we're going to talk about today have all come online probably within the past 3 years. We've really worked tremendously in Fulton County Schools, along with the direction of our strategic plan and our board, is to make sure that these social and emotional supports are in place. And so I want to tell you about all of these supports, but I also want to give you a little context for what we call South Fulton, or zones 1, 2, and 3. When it comes to the percentage of students who are face-to-face versus the percentage of students who are remote, and the need for these supports, you have to layer that. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a picture, if you will. In elementary schools, it's about 50-50 as far as the election or the selection for face-to-face or remote. So we have 52% that are face-to-face and 48% that are remote. For our middle school, that's when the shift begins to happen. We have 38% that are face-to-face, with 62% that are remote. And now let's go to high school. So we're talking across our 5 major comprehensive high schools. 26% are face-to-face, with 74% that are remote. So when you think about these percentages, and you think about these numbers, and you're saying, well, how do we tap into the support because my children aren't there face to face? I'm going to encourage you to really take a look at all the different options I'm going to discuss today, because these are the options that are going to ensure that our students are successful regardless of their learning environment, and that our students' mental health and social and emotional needs are met. So moving to our first piece is our student success skills. So the Student Success Skills Framework is a framework in Fulton County Schools that we use to teach social and emotional learning. The lessons that our students are engaged in are typically 2 to 3 days per week on various topics. In the fall, we had 86 of our schools went full implementation, which is very exciting to know that we had 86 of our schools going full implementation. And now we have what would be all of our schools in full implementation, which is great. And those 15 to 20 minute lessons are ones that are going to help our students understand who they are individually, so that they can be able to interact with one another as well collectively. So the lessons that your students will learn in this upcoming week is on self-awareness, which is critical. Next, we have our text for help. And for text for help, this is where parents, I really need your help. I need your help because the number here for text for help, which is 1-888-441-9946. That number needs to be in the cell phone of each and every middle school and high school student in Fulton. And so if your child is near you, you want to grab that phone, you just put that number in there. And I want you to put it in there because they may not need help now, but you can see on this slide, there is a mental health licensed professional on the other side of that number 24 hours a day. And so if a child is struggling, and if they are struggling and mom and dad is not necessarily around, or grandmom or whomever, it's vital that they would be able to know, if I have a need, that is who I can reach out to. We don't want our students to be alone. So once again, think about this. 74% of our high school students are remote. And we know, based upon their age, they could be remote at home alone. So it's critical that our children never feel that they are alone. Next, we have our Fulton County Schools tip line, which is you can access via our app and also via our website. The difference between this line and the text for help line is this line is actually monitored by Fulton County staff. And so I have students that would give us a tip, and they can give a tip anonymously. And if they do, Fulton County staff will follow up. And so once again, the difference between those two different lines is one is monitored 24 hours a day by a licensed professional, which is the text for help. And then Fulton County Schools tip line is one where you could be anonymous, but once again, that is one that is not necessarily 24 hours a day, but we will follow up if that information is necessary directly to a student or even a parent. So now moving forward, we'll talk about our mental health agencies and partners in Fulton County Schools. And when I think about this opportunity, we have come a long way, because we now have a mental health agency in each and every school. So we have in South Fulton, Odyssey, in the majority of our schools, but some of our schools have Family Ties or even Chris 180. But the headline, once again, is that we have an established partnership in all of our schools. It's vital that if a student crisis does occur, that we have licensed and trained professionals to help with that crisis. So we have many individuals who are in our schools who are trained in our student crisis response protocol. And our administrators know that if there is any type of risk of immediate harm, then we would have one of those individuals able to step in and help our students, even if they've gone through crisis and been in a crisis, how to re-enter back into school. So once again, I want you to remember that backdrop of percentages of students who are online and those that are face-to-face. This is very important, that if a child is in crisis, that we know as a district. And so, and if the school knows, the counselor knows, then we are able to help and really initiate that response protocol. Also, we have the signs of suicide, and that's also in all of our middle and high school programs. And this is an evidence-based program that really says we want to reduce suicide attempts, and all of our students are taught the action steps for what they should do if they are running into that type of problem, even with one of their friends. When I think about the adults and the way, the number one thing that adults need to do now that we're back in school is to reestablish or establish relationships. I send a newsletter to all of the principals and assistant principals every week. And this week, just yesterday, the highlight, the headline was building relationships, and why building relationships is really the foundation to academics. And so as we're here in the new semester, we're starting out 2021, some students have new teachers. Here are some strategies that a teacher can use to help ensure that they are building those relationships. And by building those relationships, then those students then begin to trust those adults. And so when signs are demonstrated adults know exactly what to do. So moving forward into a couple more SEL supports we have our care team. Our care team is really the team that is deployed to respond when there is a crisis at a school. When I think about last semester and the crisis that we had with the various deaths, of leaders at both Tri-Cities High School as well as at Westlake High School. The care team was there, and it's made up of individuals from counselors to social workers to psychologists and from all over the district. And they are trained on how to not only support our students, but also our adults. Because when you're in that crisis situation, and I know it can be a lot for a leader, for a teacher to process, and then also for our students to process. So the care team is vital. Our STEPS, AE, which are our skills in schools, it's another program that where our teachers, or not our teachers, but our counselors, psychologists, and social workers really pull students together and teach them in small groups on specific skills. And those skills are really echoed right into our student success skills framework that I talked about earlier. So when you think about student success skills, you're talking about all students, all schools. But when you think about skills in schools, this is the small group setting for our students that really need that smaller environment to really tune into what skills are needed so that they can be happy and healthy regarding their well-being. Youth mental health first aid training. Once again, we have over 800 staff and community members who are trained in this first aid training because we recognize that we cannot do it alone. That's one of the great things about this mental health collaborative is it takes all of us to support our students because, as I said earlier, they're not necessarily in a building looking at us from 8 to 3 like they always have been in the past. So we need everyone to work together to wrap our arms around them. So moving forward, we have our Peak Academy. Peak Academy, and you may say, well, is that really for mental health or social emotional support? And I would say yes. Some of our students that would be expelled and not have access to education would still be able to be educated at our Peak Academy. And so if we have students who are in Peak, they do have, once again, the access to the mental health supports that are necessary. And then Fulton has a plethora of counselors, social workers, and psychologists. And specifically, 10 of those social workers are SEL, which are social and emotional social workers. And out of the 10, 6 of them are in South Fulton. So that is 6 of them have been assigned out of that 10 to zones 1, 2, and 3, which is critical to help support the day-to-day, what would be level 2 crisis, if you will, for our students that happen in our buildings. Moving forward, we have multiple also ways in which we help students with their behavior. We have behavior specialists. There's a total of 9 of them, which help with our interventions, which are inclusive of the positive behavior intervention and support program. And when I think about the number of schools that are operational or higher or even distinguished, out of those 9 schools that are distinguished for their PBIS program, the majority of them are in South Fulton. Because we have really, over the past 4 years, looked at the whole child as we were transforming South Fulton. And so we knew we were addressing academics in lots of ways, but we also had to support the whole child in their behavior and also in their support of their mental and social emotional health, which is why this was part of launching this collaborative was a part of that transformational work. And then right in the middle, you have Think First, Stay Safe, which is our health curriculum in elementary school, which once again helps to build a safe climate for our students to learn. And then finally, we have this slide, which is, how can you help us? I need the help of all of our families that are online. One, look at the home connection. So home connection is a part of the student success skills framework. And it's a flyer that says, this week we learned. So what does that conversation look like about self-awareness at your dinner table, or as you're sitting and talking about their own self-awareness, your child's self-awareness? That's what the home connection is. So look forward to receiving that information from your school. And if you don't receive that, please reach out to your teacher, because the home connection doesn't have to be a flyer, obviously sent through hard copy, but it can easily be a PDF that is sent to you via email to say, this is what we're learning at school around student success skills, and how do I connect that to home? Another thing that I really need your help with, I mentioned it earlier, text for help. Make sure our middle and our high school students have access to text for help. Put that number in their phone. For our on-site mental health partners, know that we have Odyssey, Family Ties, Chris 180. If you are in need, if the child is in need, if the family is in need, let your counselor know, let your social worker know. We can all work together to meet the needs of our students, and also to help meet the needs of the families through lots of different funding opportunities. For high school, we have a program called Naviance. Naviance is a program that will help students really navigate that post-secondary journey, meaning, how do I make sure that I have all of my applications done correctly? Have I applied to the right schools? Have I applied to the right types of scholarships? Have I garnered all of my recommendations? A lot of that brings on a lot of stress for a high school student. And so not only does Naviance provide them with that tool, which is an online portal to help with that process, but it will also help with the social emotional part of what that means. And then finally, purposity. If you know of someone who has a need that could be fulfilled via Amazon, and I know we know that Amazon, through Amazon Prime, they can often have it there, but by week's end. But if you have a need, or if you know of a family, of a friend that has a need, let your social worker, let your counselor know. Purposity is an online portal where the needs are placed into the portal, and then those that have access can go ahead and fulfill that need. We were highly communicating this very heavily as we went into the Christmas, or I should say the December season, just because lots of families had lots of needs, but it's still cold outside. And if there is a need for a coat, if there's a need for a hat, if there is any type of need, that's what Purposity is there for. And then obviously we have our South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative, our North Mental Health Collaborative. Be a part. If you know someone that needs this information, please, please, please invite them to come to those first Wednesdays at noon online, except for that March 31st. It won't happen then, because we'll have some other type of help, mental health collaboration during that spring break time, resting and recharging. And so for our last slide, I want to just remind us, and I don't think we need a reminder, but we all know we are in a pandemic. And in this pandemic, emotional support is invaluable. And so the Georgia COVID Emotional Support Line is 866-399-8938. Once again, volunteers, people who really truly want to help you through any type of emotional support during this pandemic, during the times of isolation. I mean, when you're telling someone to quarantine and isolate themselves, you're really saying things that could be really hurtful and need of emotional support. So please, please, if you are needing help, do that. Also, you have here our Fulton County website, which has many community resources, and our Georgia Crisis and Access line. And then finally is my information. I'm Dr. Jima Whitaker. I'm the Deputy Chief Academic Officer. And then also two other individuals that work heavily in this area in Fulton County Schools, which is Dr. Chris Matthews, who is our Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, and then Chelsea Montgomery, who is the Executive Director of the Office of Student Supports. So we are here to help if anyone is in need of anything is regarding their social emotional supports. Know that the district is here to help. We do understand that we are in a pandemic, and I am just grateful that we did launch this mental health collaborative prior to where we're sitting right now, because we have had the opportunity to garner the resources and really coordinate them to make sure that our families have what they need. So at this time, Ms. Payne.
Thank you, Dr. Whitaker. Well, those were so many. I know a lot of it because I work with Fulton County Schools and we're partners, but to see it listed out all together in one place, really describing each one is, I think, so important for our community to know, because sometimes when things are really challenging, especially when we are very isolated during the last, feels like 100 months, but for most of the last year, we can get really narrow and focused on very specific things right in front of us. And so to see that there are opportunities and other resources available is so important. And we are so grateful that Fulton County Schools is continuing to plug into the needs of the community and of the families. And we're glad that we have not only Fulton County Schools represented here, but also the school board member with Ms. Warren. Yes. Also other people who have come on with us before from Fulton County Schools and from the South Fulton Parents for Education group. So I thank you both again for your time today and explaining and talking about your commitment and the commitment of the people that you work with in investing in the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative. I want to just echo what both Dr. Whitaker and Ms. Warren have said earlier, that this opportunity is available for you to reach out if you need support. We've gone over several resources to you. Odyssey Family Counseling Center, which is where Jackie and I work. We work in 23 Fulton County schools in South Fulton. We also are at a couple of preschools, so we do support students as young as 3 in this community. So Odyssey Family Counseling Center works in the schools. We also are a community mental health agency, and we have supports available from children from 3 years old and up that are available. We have substance use programming, we have adult mental health programming, child and adolescent mental health programming, as well as psychiatric support, nursing services, and much more. So if you or someone you know would benefit from any of those things, benefit from just working on some goals to work towards your best health and wellness, we invite you to reach out. Our phone number is 404-762-9190. And there's information on our page, but you can also go to odysseycounseling.org for more information. We welcome you. We welcome your feedback. If you have ideas about what else you would like to see the South Fulton Mental Health Collaborative cover, give us a call, send us a message on Facebook or any of the other platforms we've shared. Again, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at South Fulton MHC. Just check us out and let us know. We'd be happy to hear from you. We wish you guys all a happy new year and a great January, and we will see you in February for the the next Wellness Wednesday, where we're going to dive into sound therapy and all the benefits that that can offer us. So please put that on your calendar, be ready for that, and we will see you then. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year, or in this year. Goodbye.